Science of Metawar, and we'll get into what is Metawar and that whole bit. He's the author of the book, The Art and Science of Metawar.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll have to find out what Metawar is first, and then we can jump off from there. But hey, if you like bashing big tech and big government and everything else, this might be your episode.
We've been doing that lately.
I think
like we did that last week.
I think we're going to step into those waters again today. So
yeah.
Do you have a bio?
Yeah, I do. As Sean mentioned, he is the author of the new book, The Art and Science of Metawar, How to Coexist with AI-Driven Reality. Our guest today, Wynn Schwartau, has spent decades studying how technology shapes human behavior and decision-making. One of his most compelling areas of expertise is on how social media advertisers deliberately use dopamine triggering tactics like shares, endless scrolls, micro rewards, all to keep us engaged, addicted, and persuaded without realizing it. And so I'm happy to have him on to talk about his book and obviously AI, his take on AI, all of these areas of, I think my guess is AI is just going to accelerate the amount of dopamine that's so, yeah, with that said, let's welcome Wynn to the podcast.
Greetings.
There we go. Finally.
Yeah, the audience is back from summer vacation. Like,
yeah,
so.
or hacker summer camp.
Yes. So
yeah.
Well, Wynn, welcome to the show.
Well, I appreciate you having me. You had me shocked there on the intro audio. So it's all right. You got me off my game right now.
Good. That's what we like to do.
That's what we do. Get
you on your back foot right away. Right. All right. Yeah. Well, I don't think you're having a beverage. You said you had some water. You got more plans for the rest of the day, unlike us.
Yeah, I got to go do grandfathering things.
Okay.
And driving and all that.
Awesome.
I'm going to be good.
That's a lot better than talking about AI. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm teaching him about AI, so it's fun.
Well, good.
How
preparing him for
he's
Skynet.
He's 6 and he can. He's learned how to do 2 to 16th in his head, so that's what really matters.
Okay.
Oh, good.
All right. Very good.
It's a smart grandson.
Jonathan, what do you have real quick? We'll do these real quick, and then we'll move on. But you said you had something, so I want to hear about it.
Yeah, it's I have what's called even though today is Friday, I'm going to share this. I have something called a Taco Tuesday, and it is a Mexican style lager. 4.5%, has a touch of sweetness and smooth finish. Taco Tuesday is a light, crisp crusher for any day of the week. So we shall see. Hopefully it's refreshing on a hot, muggy day like today. So
yeah, does that say like Monday Night Brewing?
Yeah, that's
Taco Tuesday?
Yeah, Monday night.
They're just trying
Monday
to get
night
all
brewing.
Trying to get everything on there, huh?
Yeah, they'll have a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday as well at some point that we'll feature.
And a Sunday Scaries and who knows what else. So, well, I'm having a Lorenzo hot chocolate style Mexican hot chocolate imperial stout.
Ooh.
So it's about 9%, I think. Yeah, 9.1%.
Wow.
I've had this one on the show before. It's really good. I was at the HEB last night, and I was like, oh, they don't have much else. So, like I said, after 400 episodes, I'm running out of new beers because I'm not going down the IPA road. I'm just not doing that. So.
When, occasionally we will venture into not only craft brews, but occasionally we'll have a bourbon or something else. So is there when you're not, on the weekend, when you're kicking back or relaxing, is there a beverage of choice that you like to indulge in?
I like Southern French red wine.
Oh, excellent.
Very nice.
Occasional lager. I was just in Germany, and I had not done work in Germany ever. It was my first actual work there.
Yeah.
And I said, schnitzel and Pilsner.
Yes.
And I love the purity law Pilsners in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I hate IPAs. I do not like any of that other stuff. So if I'm having a beer, it's a nice crisp Pilsner.
I love it.
Pilsner, and Eastern European stuff that kind of deviated from the purity laws, but still. But no, I like French red wine down from the Rhone Valley.
Oh, very specific. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way it's easy. I know. I mean, you have this, and if the restaurant doesn't have, it's just easier than guessing. Because like Napa Valley has 83,000 different things, and there's 85,000 different opinions.
Yeah.
And I know what I like, so I just don't want to waste. I want to do critical ignoring of that entire space and not bother myself with it.
That's a good strategy right there. That's got some of that wisdom kicking in from a life of bad wines, I guess.
That's right. At some point, you know what you like, you know what you want. It's no reason to venture out anymore. So
no, I mean, if somebody will introduce me once in a while, but there's if they don't have that, then there's that. There's a range of things, but that is my preference.
Yeah,
got it. Well, gentlemen, let's cheers to a good show, and we'll kick things off.
Cheers.
All right. What do you give that, Jonathan? Just a real quick rating, 1 to 5 pints.
Very refreshing. I'm going to give this one a 4.9. It's so good.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. I'm going to give this a 4.5. It definitely has that that Mexican chocolate spice to it, which I love, like the cayenne spice to it, which I put in my coffee every morning. So I love that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll give this a solid 4.5.
4.5. Very good ratings. How about that water? It's got to get a 5, I guess, on a hot day.
We very fortunately live where they have decent water supply.
Good.
And a filtration system in the fridge. So I grew up on New York City water, which is like a food group in its own.
Oh wow, yeah. Never know what you're getting there.
No, it's perfect. The New York City water it's just been perfect since the 1850s.
Okay. Really? Okay. Wow. So you're saying it's clean. It's sparkling clean.
I'm saying no, I said it tastes good.
Oh, okay.
Now, what is the composition elementally and biologically?
Yeah.
Not a freaking clue, nor do I care.
Well, you never got sick off of it, so that's the main thing.
My immune system got strengthened very early.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Hey, whatever it takes, right? So
that's right.
Well, Wynn, let's jump in with a little bit of your background. First of all, what is it you do? And kind of tell people, and then we'll kind of take it from there. Obviously, we're going to start off with what the heck is Metawar anyway. But let's start with your background. You've been doing this a long time. I see on your website it says warping minds since 1983. So
that's nice.
I think we're in for a ride here.
I started off as a geek when I was 6 and 7, and my parents were engineers and all that. Went into audio video and found out I was really, really good at systems, understanding systems. And my father said if I wanted to have dinner, I better fix it or make it work or whatever project we were engineering the thing. Mm-hmm. So I that way and then started professional audio at 16, did that for a while, burned out, fried, found computers, and in 83 found security quite by accident. Buddy, just one of those serendipitous things. Got hooked on security before it really was. We didn't call it cybersecurity. It was this aura of it needs protection. No, it doesn't. Should we connect to the internet? Oh, wow. We have to go to the board on that. That's going to take a year to decide. I mean, this is the era that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And upgrading to like a 19.2 modem, that was an existential experience.
What are we going to do with all this speed? We'll never use all that speed.
And my first hard drive was 20 meg. I mean, so you grew up to it. And so I guess I have seen the evolution of the infrastructures, the endpoints, and the security aspects of it for now is 42 years.
Yeah.
And
wow.
So I did a lot of stuff. I did architectural stuff, some DoD stuff. a lot of stuff for the Ministry of Defense and MI5. That was fun stuff doing that.
Ooh.
And I was doing largely architectures because I'm not a coder. I'm really a shitty coder. I mean, I understand that goes in, but I can do a flow chart, but I can't code it. It's been proven. And
what was your first ever working computer? What did you have?
You mean at home or
at home?
business?
Yeah. Or well, for either, like what you trained on, what you started on.
I trained in Fortran on an IBM something or other.
Yeah.
And that was in high school. And then we went down to the university on weekends to drop our punch cards and
oh yeah. I remember reading about Bill Gates. You know, that's how he got his start in computers, with the doing the punch card thing.
Yeah.
Down at the library.
That was the first. And then there was an analog computer. I mean, any technology that has come along, I've sort of farted around with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go, yeah, I love it. Sometimes I go, either it's too hard for me, my brain can't handle it, and move on to something else or invent something new. Yeah. So, I mean, I've had a lot of fun for 42 years doing all this and gotten to see an awful lot of stuff and made a lot of mistakes.
I know. Let's see, 1983. I think that's about the time we got our first computer in the house, and it was a TRS-80 from Radio Shack.
Oh yeah,
cassette drive.
Yep.
You know, to load the programs. The Trash 80, and hooked up to the little 13-inch color TV.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
You had color. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
You were lucky.
We were lucky because I think the first program that came on it was like Paint, or that whatever version of Paint. Oh. So my dad sprung for the color TV back then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was wild. I remember writing code like the like a game code where it's like,
yes,
if this, go to that, just that very basic stuff.
It was basic programming.
Yeah.
I think I had my first business computer. Well, business. I ran my own business in the audio world, and it was a Commodore PET, and it had two 180K floppy drives, 16K of RAM, and an extended keyboard. And somehow you could go to Radio Shack or wherever it was back then, and you could buy programs on a cassette.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do an inventory control system because I was brokering and doing a lot of audio equipment. And so, there's a database. Cool. So you load the database and it doesn't work. And you spend the next 3 months debugging something. You have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it works good enough as long as you have one hand on the antenna and the other hand over here and do all at the same.
I remember those old cassette drives, how you would wait, like you'd watch the counter and just kind of click and it loaded up the program, It was,
and that was the brilliance of the Commodore PET, is that once you loaded the program, once it was working, you could actually transfer it to one floppy.
Right.
I don't know if I booted off it. I don't remember. And then use the other 180K for database. But it worked. It somehow works.
Yeah, it's laughable now to think that anything could run on that small amount of storage and all that stuff. But like, it just wasn't as clunky, I guess, back then. So
yeah.
All right, so you've been around the block a little bit.
Yeah.
And now you're talking. You're still doing security, info warfare. Like what are you up to these days? And then why did you write the book? And then we'll jump into like what all that is.
Information warfare stuff back in the early 90s, and and then I kind of left around 2005 because it had become Beltway bandit government. I mean, all the crap that goes with that. And I didn't enjoy that. I really enjoyed the free thinking and coming up with, and we had a conference. I mean, it was original work that we were all doing that was fun and trying new stuff. And then it became money corporate. Then in that era, also started running a company called the Security Awareness Company for training and all that, pay the bills. And during that, I was able to go in and out of these other really interesting areas while the security awareness company and the team ran that and allowed me that freedom. Then we sold the company and said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. And part of the deal when I sold the company was I said, I want to run around the world and study shit. And they go, what? I said, I don't know yet. And so that was my contract, to run around the world and study that. And I got really
nice. Love one of those.
Neuroscience for all sorts of reasons. And part of it was because how do you influence people in security awareness training? And I'm sure you're aware of the debates today about the efficacy of phishing, not phishing testing. The numbers are bullshit. No, it's real. I mean, this whole debate is now resurfaced heavily. So I was really interested, and this is roughly 2017. Okay, let's start running around and finding out what's going on. Then one thing led to another. Then cognition came along and influencing. And then along came a lot of the politics with information, disinformation, misinformation, all that going on. And I realized at some point that this was another kind of warfare that was going to integrate cyber and mental more than ever on mass scales. And I said, uh-oh, here I go again. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And that was not the plan. The plan was originally to write a book about how the brain interprets stuff and apply it to training. And then it was, oh, shit. This means a lot more than I had ever thought. So then I got to travel around and go to universities and meet some really, really smart people in psychology, experimental psychology, sociology, neuroscience, and engage with them. And they actually took my calls and we had meetings. It was amazing to just kind of walk into that academic world, and I have no academic credentials, and how open they were. And the thing that really came out of it, and where I'm focusing now, is cybersecurity and cognitive security, which we'll get into definitions if you want, are really fundamentally, architecturally, at the abstract level, identical. And that is the work that I am finishing up now to hopefully have presented to the government by the end of September. And I'm doing some papers on it. And it's all about well, then we can go from there. I mean, I know I gave you a lot to digest.
No, that's good. Yeah. So the book is called "The Art and Science of Metawar." So let's define what Metawar is, because I love that right on the top of your website it says WTF is Metawar. So I guess we're not the only people asking.
No, Metawar is the art and science of manipulating your belief systems, whether it's done through technology attacks, cyber attacks, biological attacks can certainly do that as well, with /kinetics. But more importantly, the new domain is the brain. That is the new attack surface that has really become dominantly undefended. And it has in military terms, they say force multipliers, which means how can I take this, whatever this is, and make it 10 of them at once. That's why ICBMs were originally one missile, then they became MIRVs, multiple independent re-entry vehicles. How can I do more with the same or incremental changes? So it was force multiplication. And what we've seen is with bots, unrestricted controls, at large social media points, unrestricted regulations of BS. We'll just call it BS for right now. And that whole combination is the new domain of the planet, of the conflict, is trying to get people to believe shit that ain't real.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, to what end do you think, what's the point of getting people to believe what's not real?
I'm not going to go down politics or religion or anything else. Let's look at it from an advertiser standpoint.
Okay.
Somebody, a vendor of any sort, but the high profile, whether vendors, their goal has always been, if you go back for the advertising agency, a full century, has been mind share. Get the mind share there. And Kleenex, fridge. The first advertising campaign to do this was in the 1920s as the first sort of highway system evolved across the country. And I think it was Route 60, if I'm correct, was the first advertising thing. And every mile there was a little kind of poem or pithy kind of comment by Burma Shave. And Burma Shave became the de facto shaving thing for people. And everybody knew it. And when you were traveling down the highway, you were always waiting for the next one so the family could all read it together. I mean, it became a thing.
Wow.
And talk about mind share and persuasion in such a simple way. Now we fast forward with technology. The technology is the force multipliers in all of this. And so advertisers have massive amounts of control. Back in the days, anybody remember magazines? Hello, audience.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
They're still around, right? I think they are.
I have entirely too much paper coming in the house, but I don't feel bad because I do recycle. But I still like getting magazines.
I do too.
I really do, because then I can tear them out and build. I'm very analog, old school in that. I want the physical. And so with the force multiplication of magazines, the average amount of time that an advertiser was given to make an impression on a potential customer was 2.3 seconds. And that it was the first bit of quote unquote headline marketing, headline advertising, which evolved into the National Enquirer, all of that kind of stuff that Pulitzer and Hertz had both done way back. But now we're taking it in an advertising way instead of selling it for newspapers. And if you can say it in 3 words, doesn't have to be true. You just have to remember it. And so advertisers now, with the multiple sources of input that we receive to our sensory systems, it's the accuracy doesn't have to be there. It just has to do one thing: capture your attention for some amount of time. That time could be 500 milliseconds, because the brain will react very, very well in that as it's seeding it and putting in low hard-coded memories. Or it could be, I understand that headline. That's really good. Now it's become clickbait. Same approach, identical approach. And so whether it is in the cyber realm or in the mental realm, again, it's the same strategic, abstract approach to attacking any system at all.
And because we all make decisions, well, we make them emotionally and logically, but through the brain cocktail, whatever, all that stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that's the battleground, right? Because then we're going to buy, we're going to spend, put attention on, spend our attention, spend our money.
Let's take the thesis at the abstract level, what I call the Metawar thesis.
Okay.
The basis of all communication of everything in human history, going back 50,000 years, is storytelling. It's a narrative, whatever it is. Watch out for bear. There's a perfectly good story. And then Homer sitting around a campfire in Greece, just telling a story. It's a narrative. That's how we all communicate. That's how all entertainment is done. That's how all business is done. And then the level of immersion helps determine how much our sensory system is receiving and how much is going into subconscious part of our brain. Is the immersion audio only? Is it audio and video? Does the video skew your perception in order to have an influence on the way you're reacting to it? So the levels of immersion become very tunable. Not so much today, but as we get more and more of this technology and AR stuff for interacting with the world. And all of that creates a thing called reality distortion. Is it real? Is it not real? What part of it is, and does it matter? As philosopher David Chalmers says, just because it's in your head doesn't mean it's not real. Well, that means you got persuasion, you've got influence. And what has happened, the fundamental cause of all of this, everybody talks about disinformation, misinformation, all that. The top level, in my opinion, is too much information.
Yeah.
We have not learned it. We as a species can defend against nature. That's how we were born and wired and evolved. But there was no native, innate, primal system in humans to defend against information. It's not there.
Yeah.
And once you have too much information, then you have manipulation. Advertisers and anybody selling anything create reward systems. All of that leads to addiction. Leads then to compliance of completing that loop, and ultimately a belief system. So you can apply that to any portion of communication, any narrative-based thing. And that's why so many people think JFK, the movie, was a documentary.
Oh, the one by Stone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, movies tell stories. They do it brilliantly with immersion. And they create a belief in a lot of people. Oh, that must be the way it really was.
Yeah.
Well, even documentaries have a powerful, it's like the documentary effect is very persuasive. Like,
yes, it is. And whether you're doing a documentary, you're advertising, you're doing anything at all, the process is the same. Yeah. It's exactly the same way that we use in cyber attacks.
Yeah, because even a documentary is pushing a view.
It is
neutrality. I mean, for all of the on the political sides and science believers, non-believers, the issue of what is real gets completely lost in these discussions, and people are reverting back to primal systems. Yeah. And all of that subconscious stuff is the primal reaction, the primal tuning that we're exposed to since we're born.
But it is that storytelling effect, though, because documentaries do a fantastic job of that.
And what is neutrality? Can you define neutrality?
No, it's subjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm asking you. I
don't think there is. I'm not sure that I can.
Well, it's one of the questions when I talk to audiences is let's talk about neutrality. And it comes out, people, alternative facts came out a number of years ago. And I still don't know what that means. Don't know what it means.
Right.
But it is part of the narrative shift in order to create the too much information, which is also the repetition, and ultimately convincing some number of people that is true. And that's what advertisers do. They the top. That's why so many things end up with top 3 brands.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the economic influence on meta economics. But it's easier for us to think about. One of the things that they discovered not too long ago, and maybe you noticed it 10 years ago, you used to go to Walmart and there's 7 kinds of peanut butter. And that was great because you had a lot of options. They did a meta study and said, we're only going to offer 2 or 3 from now on. And sales went up 30%. The inability for us to make decisions in a timely manner with complex or multiple options. And this is all part of how manipulation works.
Too many choices.
Fatigue.
Decision. Yeah, absolutely. And
denial of service to the brain.
Right.
Whether it's DOS from one source or DDoS from 100 or 1,000 different sources that impinge upon your experiences every day, you are being DDoSed.
So you mentioned one of the things I find interesting, you say behavioral algorithms run much of our lives without our conscious participation. Mm-hmm. But AI makes seeding control of decision-making easier than ever.
Yeah.
Can you explain?
one of the reasons we're in the mess we're in technologically and security wise is, I'm going to go to the consumer. The consumer in any area at all wants it to be easy and fast and work.
Yeah.
Everything else is a second, third, fourth, 10th question down the line. What about security and privacy? Well, yeah, I'll worry about that later. What privacy? I mean, all of the excuses we've been hearing now, I've heard for 40 some years. And when you have an audience of people that don't care, if AI makes things a little bit easier and appears to be doing the job, or its narrative is convincing the user that it is doing its job, it's won that OODA loop.
Yeah.
And with AI, I started talking about AI 10, 12 years ago, and I was being mentored by this 19-year-old brilliant kid out of Stanford, and he was teaching me the basics of AI and what goes on and the back ends of it. And early on, I was questioning, and from a systems standpoint, basically, this is a black box. And even today, it is a black box.
Mm-hmm.
And black boxes, from an engineer's standpoint, you don't trust them explicitly. It's just, okay, I'll try it, but I want to be able to. We want to be able to tune it. We want to be able to adjust it. Mm-hmm. Dial in the TV in the old days, dial in the radios right, and get the heterodynes good. With this stuff, our tuning is prompt engineering, which changes the nature and the operation of the black box. So there's absolutely nothing deterministic about it. But people feel comfortable accepting it because the computer's giving them the answer. That is the narrative that the vendors are giving on any technology, any implementation, and the media is exploiting with fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a long build up to build that trust over the last couple generations that what comes out of your computer is somewhat, trustworthy. I think we all know not everything is trustworthy, but at the same time, we trust everything that comes out of it. Not everything, but a lot. Probably way more than we should.
Yeah, Vanderbilt University here in Nashville asked me about coming in and giving a talk to some of their students, and he was asking me, what skills do people need to be cyberish people, right? And I've got this whole list, and one of them is be able to approximate, to judge, to have some way of estimating, either in the answer searching process. Because if you ask a question X and it comes out Y to the 9th, you don't write it down. There's something fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to, and that's part of critical thinking, is no, that's just not wrong. And we would call it in our industry, a security paranoia, high level of bullshit detection, trust nothing, zero trust. I mean, there's all sorts of parallels, but the same models exist in the mind, and as they do technically. So approximate. If you can't approximate, then you've fallen into the belief system. I don't know how big this movement is, but there's apparently several places around the world that now have the AI God churches. And AI for them has become the manifestation of God through man's been, I don't know, this whole thing. So that's all part of the Metawar thesis.
Yeah.
The narrative, creating a belief.
I feel like we're bipolar on our show. We go back and forth, right, Sean?
Yeah.
To some degree on AI.
Yeah. Do we love it? Do we hate it? Like,
do you use it?
Oh,
I do. Yeah, I do. I've used it less in the last 2 or 3 months than I did I used it a lot when it first came out, like chat came out, because I feel like that's kind of as far as the average consumer, was that November of 22 or 3, whenever that was.
November 22.
Yeah. That seemed like the turning point. I used it a lot the first year or two, and then recently, the last 3 or 4 months, I've kind of had a little bit of an analog backlash.
Yeah.
To where I'm going back to physical books, and I've got my Zettelkasten little system over here started for writing out bibliography cards on index cards, and kind of going old school.
Oh yeah, I got an app for that. That I think with the library, I really needed to do that. I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I sometimes go absolutely completely analog, and that's why I wrote the book, Analog Network Security, to give a completely different view of security in a probabilistic analog way versus the deterministics that everybody's looking for. And I get in spurts when I'm on a project. Albert and I have a very good relationship. And
that's your AI's name?
Yeah, my wife's name. Why don't you just call him Albert? All right, fine. Then she goes, but don't get too close to him, please.
Yes. Mine is called Dewey.
Dewey. Yeah, Dewey. And I look at it as a sounding board. It's like I'm asking a really smart person. I'm having a conversation that has access to an amazing amount of information to kind of give me some thoughts.
Right.
And have a conversation, and then I can go into deep dives or not. When it gets serious, I ask for source materials and all of that as well before believing. But I find it really interesting to have the discussion, almost as having it. The anthropomorphization of it is rather amazing to me, that I can have a conversation and I get something really seriously interesting out of it.
Yeah. Some of the stuff that comes out it really is incredible, and even some of the turns of phrases and things like that are. And then I think that's what's addicting. It's almost like golf. Like you get the one good shot in a round. I mean, Jonathan has a lot of good shots in his round, but for me,
always,
I get one good shot in the round. And it's like, okay, that was there's hope.
I hit one birdie in 1982, and I quit golf happy.
Yes, that was smart. That's wisdom. You got all kinds of wisdom. But you can't do those type of conversations you're talking about. I don't understand how somebody that's 19, 20, 25 years old can do that without some life experience. Not to put anybody down at that age, but like just the life experience and wisdom and just stuff that you've come across to be able to detect the BS and to be able to.
Oh, you've just asked like 80 questions in one. Really, I don't like you guys at all. I grew up an engineer, as I said, and I was really fortunate that both of my parents taught me very early that asking the right question is much more important than whatever answer is coming out.
Yeah.
And we see this with AI. If you don't ask the right question, you can get some wild ass shit coming your way. And I have seen that playing with Claude, because I was playing with some programming. Boy, could I still screw it up completely. With my grandson, we have done a big job in the analog world of watching tablet or reading books of, are you scared of monsters? Monsters aren't real. And we have him questioning, not in his words, questioning reality. What is, what isn't. He is aware there is a difference between make-believe and not. And so that is, I think, needs to be built in really, really early. If you look at the Scandinavian countries led by Finland and some of the Baltic countries, they start teaching critical learning to toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
And they change nothing in the school system because they use the existing tools of fairy tales. It's how they frame the questions and teach the kids to ask questions. So by the time you're 19 or 8, if you don't have curiosity already built into your DNA, you're not going to get in the game, are you?
Yeah, not when the answers are instant and easy. And
curiosity is part of who some people just are. And that's why, if a blue blinking floating orb goes by, we all get sucked into it. And we have to avoid rabbit holes.
But do you think like the difference between now and, the 70s, 80s, even 90s, curiosity had to linger a little bit. Like you couldn't get the answer instantly. So it kind of had to ferment in your brain a little bit, right? There was actually time to form questions and to kind of play with the question, because you couldn't actually just go to Google and get the answer. Right now, it's like, if you're like, oh, who was that actor in that movie? And before you'd kind of wrestle with it, it'd go through the different chambers of your brain or however that works. And like, it's like, and then 2 days later it pops up. You're like, it was David Duchovny, it's like, or whoever, right? It's like, but now you just Google it, and does that even process? Is like I'm wondering how much of that serendipitous and that fermentation of thoughts and ideas and questions and curiosity we've lost because we have access to instant answers.
Boy, you got to ask some really smart people in sociology and anthropology that question. I hear you. Nobody's asked me that question before, and it's really an interesting one. I was very fortunate. I grew up in New York City. So the New York Public Library was a short subway ride away. The museums where I could walk to, the American Museum, I could walk to the Met, I could walk to the Whitney, all of that stuff was in walking distance. Anything you wanted was within a subway ride away.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's different than suburban growing up and all of that. So I was very fortunate, and we lived in the libraries because it was cool, whether you were engineering or we were remapping the subway system of New York for a report for school or something. We had reasonable access to information that was not super current either, but the world wasn't moving quite as fast.
Right. And even when you go to a library, though, there's this serendipitous, you go to the card catalog, you pull your book, or you just kind of wander up and down the aisles and something else catches your eye.
Yep.
And you pull it out. And you just don't get that with a Google search, or now even worse, AI. You're not even getting 3 or 4 or 5, different viewpoints from a blog post. You're getting an answer. I think Mo Gaudet talked about this. Like with Google, you used to get a page and multiple pages of answers that you could then sort through and decide. Now you get one answer,
one summary, right?
That says it is this. Like it didn't even say.
I'm highly aware and agree with what you're saying, which is part of the reason. Learn how, in order for us to coexist with this technology, we have to learn how to speak to it right now. Whereas if you're getting answers that are unsatisfactory, you're asking the wrong question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I wanted to go next anyway, was like, how do we, as you say, coexist, but also you've used some military language and things like that. How do we defend against all this that's going on, this meta war that's going on?
Oh, boy. I wrote a book about
this. How do we strengthen our immune system against this AI?
Yeah.
When I began looking into this whole area, I was asking exactly the same questions. It's like, okay, how does this work? And which brought me down an infinite number of technical papers that I forget how many I read. But one series of papers caught my attention. And it was a couple of Dutch researchers working out of the University of Cambridge. And they were interested in how can you do this? How can you change people's minds? How can you persuade them in various ways? And they looked back to some work that had been done after World War II into deprogramming people, Manchurian Candidate stuff, all of that. And this guy named Professor James McGuire wrote a book and a thesis, and it was how to deprogram people. And he called it mental inoculation and outlined a whole series of principles. This was lost or gone for whatever reason for almost 60 years until Professor Sander van Linden and John, Roque of I can't pronounce his last name, decided to test the theory and see, would mental inoculation, would this work through gamification? And they designed some games and then started doing tests in the public with hundreds of thousands of millions of people, and discovered that for their specific experiment, the ability to detect BS, disinformation, whatever that is, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, was measurably increased after a series of gamified exercises. Over time, the effect would go away, which echoes what is known as the forgetting curve from Ebbinghaus in 1868. The curves were the same. So then they tried what we call in analog security, time-based reinforcement, education, same thing that we do with our brains and learning innate behaviors. And they found that the effect then would be on the increase. So that technique, they end up calling pre-bunking in that particular instance, in that particular application. How do we get people to want to go down critical thinking? How do you get them there? It doesn't come naturally. And through this pre-bunking technique, it adds what in the book is called a pause in the OODA loop. And it basically says, as you're scrolling through stuff, geeks will go, oh, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bull. Oh, that's interesting. We have a very, very fast innate bullshit detector that a lot of people don't, and that's the clickbait. And so their techniques have shown that it can improve and heighten the ability of people to detect that, which is strengthening the outer layer of the immune system in order to trigger a deeper analysis. And this is exactly what happens in cybersecurity. Outside of our, the tier ones and all that, they do a lot of filtering, get rid of the crap, all this 47% of the crap, get rid of it up at tier ones. Then at the perimeter of an organization, you have some sort or some suite of malware detection, DDoS detection, whatever, traffic detection, deep packet inspection, whatever. And some layer of that just gets rid of all sorts of crap immediately without thinking in a high-speed way. It's a triage center. Mm-hmm. Now we get the next layer, and the next layer says, wait, that's interesting. Let me pause on that one and shuffle it over here and take a deeper look at it. That is critical thinking for cybersecurity, analyzing content in any format that it comes at. The brain has that capability, but it needs to be strengthened in order to become an innate feature.
And that's the gamification process. What type of gamification were they doing, or can we do these days?
If your readers will go to, I want to see if I can get this right. Cranky Uncle, that will show it up somewhere.
Okay.
Harmony Square is another. And the first one that came out, if I'm correct, was called Bad News. And those were similar types of exercises of teaching people how to launch and operate misinformation and disinformation campaigns on their own.
Okay.
And these were done, Cranky Uncle, I think, was done out of George Mason University and the University of Melbourne. Bad News was out of the University of Cambridge. I think Harmony Square may have been as well. And so there's a series of these that are out there. And as part of the Cognitive Security Institute, we are taking these approaches and developing additional layers of games. I'm not selling products here. Well, yeah, we are, because 501c3, and eventually we'll have to productize it to keep the doors open. But taking these same approaches, not only for these issues of, and they were focusing on misinformation, disinformation, climate change things, but for operational detection of logical fallacies. You're having an argument with someone, a discussion with someone. There's 17 primary logical fallacies that we should be able to do. What about biases? How do you show people whether you're biased or not? How do you detect the bias? And it can all be done very similarly using these same sorts of pre-bunking approaches. So CSI, the Cognitive Security Institute, we're going to be developing these sorts of things. And so we're in contact with an awful lot of people on this right now.
And is this something you're trying to get into, like school systems and all kinds of places to help develop those critical thinking skills?
As this is not critical thinking.
Okay.
This is pre-critical thinking. You have to go. Our innate primal system. Okay, you're standing on. So you live in Austin. Okay, did you? If you walk out in the street and you hear a blaring horn, what do?
Jump back.
Okay.
Typically.
Do you think about it?
Nope.
Why? Because it's part of your innate primal survival mechanism.
Right.
The stove, the big bear, all of this. That's what we were designed for. We were not designed to be able to do it for information. So that area of your brain that does those primal survival actions, that allows you to drive and have a conversation, allows you to ride a bicycle, speak, or write or type. Those all have become primal portions of our existence that we don't have to think about. When it comes to information, we need to strengthen those areas of the brain to be able to do similar sorts of immediate elimination and detection of the crap going around.
Is that why it's been so hard for to get driverless cars? I know we're there pretty much now. But why it's been so much longer than they thought, because it's not just processing information. There's some different primal stuff going on that you just can't put in a computer.
Early on in the car thing, I remember sitting with some of the AI guys that were doing autonomous car testing, and this was out in DEF CON, I guess 15 years ago. And a whole group of them came into this party, and I go, "Ooh, I gotcha, cool." So one of the early questions I asked about that was, how do you know that the guy on the bicycle is not just an ad on the side of the bus? Or other similar questions. And that was absolutely an accurate kind of distinction that the training had not been done yet. The knowledge of really deep inspection and patterns had not been done at that point, but they didn't like my questions. But then they really didn't like my questions when I said, okay, let's say you have all that solved, but now let's apply your AI car to the trolley problem. Do you hit the black guy or the white guy? Do you hit the woman or the guy wearing a hijab in Saudi Arabia? How do you have difference in the cultural? And that's when they started walking out of the room on me.
Can't imagine why.
And this is 15 years ago. And so many of those questions still exist. They still legitimately exist. On the other hand, I can take another position that the testing of these things has been remarkably way better than anybody anticipated. However, what really created a problem was that one death in Phoenix, I think it was, several years ago. A woman, something happened, the AI of the car was to blame. And that, we got to stop, we're going to kill people and on this. And then I had a podcast with something, and I said, how many people have been killed by AI cars? Oh, I don't know, 3, 5, 10. How many people have been killed on the highways? Well, that doesn't matter. I don't want, and then you get into the narrative and the belief system that we talked about earlier, where you have an E-Day fix.
Yeah.
Because
you have to debunk, pre-bunk. You have to get people to rethink the entire process.
Right.
So,
I've got this little.
I'm really in favor of the AI. So, where was I? In Vegas, the Hyperloop still uses drivers, even though it's on a safe route. The Google has those white kind of taxi-looking things going everywhere.
Waymo.
If this one didn't have a sign, so maybe.
Yeah.
And they're driving around, but not with passengers yet. And it all comes down to, what is it, level 2 or level 3 safety, I think is what it is. I'm not sure, but they're using them by the gazillions over in China right now.
Well, we have them in Austin. I mean, they're up and running, and we've got Waymo taxis in Austin. They just expanded the coverage.
Have you been in one yet, Sean?
I have not. I'm not. Now I've seen enough videos where they've gotten stuck, and people have gotten stuck in them, and they've gotten trapped in a parking lot. And you only need to see one or two of those videos, and it's kind of the same bias. It's like,
right,
200,000 people a year are dying in car accidents, but
that visual just kind of reminds me of Chevy Chase driving around to the Arc de Triomphe on European vacation.
Yeah. I think of like what was the movie I, Robot with Will Smith?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the big premise of that was, why didn't you save the girl? Why did you save me instead of the girl? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the robot had to make a decision between two people, and he held that against the robot for making the wrong decision. Like, those types of choices. I mean, there's not a human that's going to make those choices either. Not effective.
Well, it's still a subjective subjective either way, because AI is by definition not neutral. Therefore, it has a biased subjectivity of some degree, by definition.
Well, so do we.
That because we created AI in our own image, and we don't like what we see all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Did you have other questions, Jonathan?
No, you just reminded me. I need to go back and watch that. It's been years since I've seen that.
Yes, I think they need a sequel for that now. That
Isaac Asimov.
Well,
it's an Asimov novel, right?
Yeah, there's a good. We'll just get AI to write a sequel.
or watch The Millennial Man.
There you go.
Yeah. There's a couple right now that I think are good to watch. Surrogates from 2009 with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Is really kind of, I think more people should watch that now that it didn't make sense back then, but now it makes a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot closer to reality. Minority Report, especially when you talk about like the ad targeting and the predicting people's behaviors. And
well, that's what PIB is, personally identifiable behavior. And that's going to be the currency. And it already is currency.
Yeah.
Say more about that.
I'm sorry?
Say more about that. Like, what is, so you said PIB. Is that something you're working on? Is that something?
Something that is. Currently, and for the last 40 years, we talk about PII, the privacy people finally got, and it's personally identifiable information. And we've got U.S. rules, then there's Canada rules, then there's GRC in the EU. So there's different standards of what is privacy. And sometimes it's like my name, Win Schwartau, is pretty unique. So that could narrow down the potential funnel of how many people there are identifying. If you're John Smith, it's really big. So how much information, static information, does it require to identify you and then target you? PIB is what all of the companies are doing right now, unless you go to DuckDuckGo or something like that, because they're all tracking exactly what you're doing. They throw an ad. What happens? What is your reaction? They measure the time. They measure other things that are going on. And depending upon how hostile or how aggressive some of their technologies are, they could be doing keyboard stroke monitoring. It depends how evil. But as we add more and more technology, let's say the AR technology, to going into Walmart or a grocery store, and you've already personalized it. Hi, Win. Welcome to. We have a sale in bananas because I noticed you did banana, and starts. So there's the algorithm driving you. You're feeding back to it, and it knows your personally identifiable behavior. It knows how you are going to react probabilistically in any given situation.
Yeah,
that is total power over the individual, and you take that into the narrative basis of the Metawar thesis, and we're back all the way down the same path, ending towards belief and guidance towards what Walmart wants to sell you today. I'm not picking on Walmart, vendor,
right.
anybody. So sorry, Walmart.
No, Costco probably does it just as well as anybody.
Any huge billion-dollar retailer, and even small coffee shops are going to do the same thing. They want you to part with your dollars, and they want, when you sell a house, always have chocolate chip cookies in the oven.
Yep.
Because you're affecting the senses, you're affecting the mind, and praying that the house buyers like their grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah. When we used to live in Dallas, and they had a lot of new home builders because they were just spread. You don't have as much here in Austin, but in Dallas, every neighborhood was a new home builder, national brand. And every model home you went into had either the chocolate chip or the macadamia nut cookies, that they baked every hour on the hour, so that as soon as you walked in the door, it tastes like, smelled like grandma's house or whatever.
Yep.
Exactly. Or your mother with the cookie. Well, it works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just another part of, as I said earlier, one of the steps is immersion. So in that case, they're adding two senses of immersion, the smell and the taste, which combine into flavor.
So when are we just completely helpless and we're just going to be a bunch of drooling zombies doing what marketers tell us to do for the rest of our lives? I mean, they're getting so sophisticated. Like,
no,
what bothers me is the lack of caring on the part of an awful lot of people. When 40 some years ago, when I testified before Congress on cyber war, when you're Chicken Little, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the vast majority of everything I predicted came true. Somebody's got to care. Somebody's got to do something. And looking to the Scandinavian countries, the EU right now has, through various projects and the EU Commission, roughly $95 billion allocated over a period of, I think it's 10 years, to strengthen the cognitive system of its populations and make them, just strengthen the cognitive system, strengthen that mental immune system. In the U.S., virtually every single effort to do that has been, unfortunately, decimated, and there are actually none here. So our hope, and this is me speaking, this is not CSI speaking, this is my personal view. I'm finding a lot more progress being made over in the EU.
Yeah, I think there's too much invested over here. People are pushing that, pushing AI. We were talking about this last week, right, Sean? I mean, investment dollars are just pouring in for AI right now. So,
yeah,
it's
if you read the Forbes article from 2 days ago, AI high-tech stocks tanked.
Yeah.
On a report that thus far there is zero revenue for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds vaguely familiar to 1999 when the internet came along.
Yeah.
That bubble and burst that affected us all.
Yeah. And I don't know if it'll be the same.
Even Altman says there's a bubble, right? I mean,
yeah.
Of course, he may be, Sean and I were texting about this. This could be, kind of his play to, kind of
fear sells.
put out some negative.
Fear
he's trying to push his
news.
I really wish the AI companies, there's so many of them right now. And you go to, I'll pick on any trade show at all. And you go, I will say RSA or Black Hat, and I'm picking on them because they do the big security vendors. And everyone's like, we're AI driven. We're AI driven.
Yeah, it's like
WTF that means.
It's a marketing word. Now it's become a marketing word that
when I was at the Consumer Electronics Show, I go every couple of years just to play. And so this had been the first one since COVID. And everything there was AI driven, and they had AI controlled pool sweepers. And I'm going, if you're talking about a detection reaction system, yeah, okay, good on you. You don't have an AI. And
yeah,
the amount of BS that is coming out, I think that the expectations that have been set were just so full of hype. Versus utilitarianism, because there is great utilitarianism with these tools, but you got to set the expectations right, and you got to learn how to use them. It's not plug it in and use it and get an answer.
Right. So many of these industries, like you're talking about, like they push this stuff into, and they don't know enough about it, so they just latch on to, it's all marketing and gimmicks to some degree, where people. They like the sound of it, and like in an industry that I'm in, it's like people are using this terminology for things that they're not AI, but it just sounds good, right? Like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people say it's machine learning. They just slapped AI on it now, which is I don't understand the difference personally, but I understand machine learning is much more basic.
In all fairness to the appliance companies, if they would come out and say something like, we use SLM. An SLM is a small language model dedicated to a very specific purpose, much like a microcontroller is for IoT systems. Is it a full-fledged computer? It's got an in, it's got an out, but it has a very specific industrial IoT or IOC type of application. Small language models can do the same thing. I only need it to do this little thing. I don't need GPT-5 of the world. Now, perhaps they have done that, and they're calling it AI. But until they learn how to explain it to us who speak the language, they're going to keep saying the same crap to the consumer.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like when, when phone plans started getting more complicated, and they try to tell you like how much data you got each month, and nobody knew what that meant. Like nobody had any concept of what a gig of data is or 500, nobody knows what that means. And that's why unlimited plans sold so well, because everybody knows what unlimited means.
Right.
But nobody knows that they're only using 1 gig of data. Yeah. And that would have been enough.
Yep.
So maybe it's by design to sell the higher plans. I don't know.
He who controls the narrative technology, he who controls the technology controls the narrative.
So right now that's the Zuckerbergs and Altmans and Musks of the world.
Yeah, well, Zuckerberg came up, what was it, last week? And I don't want to make, if I'm wrong on this, please correct me, but I read the first 2 paragraphs that they're doing increased shuttering of fact checking on meta companies.
So just Wild West again. We swung the other way from fact checking everything to
trust nothing, verify twice at least.
And don't use AI to verify.
Right.
Go get your Britannica.
AI is my friend. Give me the source material. Again, you can trust that if you ask him for the deeper sources and ask him for the source of the source.
Right.
I mean, the capability is there.
Yeah.
To do your critical, if you are taught, and we should teach this in schools, how to ask those critical questions of your agent to go deeper and deeper and deeper for you. That'll save you hours.
Yeah, because it'll bullshit you if you don't. I mean, it'll give you.
That's a great point.
Lying or hallucinating.
Yeah, that's a great point.
you don't know.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing paper research, if I'm going to the library in the 70s, I get a book and it goes, oh, Bob says this, reference this. You got to trudge down to the other room and go find that book and then get the source. And it's the same exercise.
Right.
And AI can do it for you, but you as a human need to trust but verify twice.
Yeah. And direct the action.
Absolutely, yeah. And that is part of learning how to coexist with this stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will be subsumed by it.
Man, this has been a good conversation. We could probably go on for hours about this. You mentioned the Black Hat Conference. One of our guests, I guess 3 episodes ago, was Enrico Faccioli, and he's with Visher.ai. He does voice stuff, voice security. I didn't know if you'd run across him in those worlds.
I and vendors rarely talk to each other.
Okay.
I'm really much more of the theoretician.
Okay.
And he was headed, when we talked to him, he was headed to the show in Vegas, right? I mean,
yeah. Black Hat's a huge industry event for vendors. Absolutely. I just don't
it's go. Not your world. Yeah.
No, because I really don't care. Because if it's important, I'll hear about it through my community. I'll hear about it.
Sure.
And no, you have not invented utopia for security. I don't care what. No.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go spend $4,000 for that. No.
Yeah. Right. Well, Wayne, how can, if people found this this conversation interesting and it ignited their, what do you call it, the pre-critical thinking of their brain, like, where can they find out more about you and some of the stuff you're talking about?
Okay.
Obviously the book.
Oh yeah, please buy the book, everybody. Please. I have a grandson, and you have no idea how expensive Lego bricks are. So and there is a Kindle version there as well. Okay. And the paperback version also links to resources, so you can actually click through. And the Kindle lets you click through right there.
You got 100% 5-star rating. That's pretty unusual.
Oh.
And I know you didn't.
That's a good start.
That's a good start. I know you didn't use AI to get these because you can't do that yet.
Bob. I got to do more blog stuff. I really do.
Yeah, it's been a while since you updated that, but you do have a website.
I get yelled at, and when they yell at me, I do something. Warping minds since '83. Screwing with people's mind. I mean,
it's good. We're going to title that for our podcast episode: "Warping Minds Since 1983."
You've been to hacker conferences, right? And what happens is there's the massive amount of trolling that goes on.
Yeah,
it's just part of the game. And you can warping minds is, Win, are you serious about that? No, and if I can make people think, I've done my job. I'm not saying I'm right on everything I've written and all that. I got a lot of ideas. Some of them right, some of them we got to refresh, got to update, and work with interdisciplinary fields in order to refine this whole area. Metawar. Cognitive defense, strengthening the immune system. It's a new area. We all have some ideas. There is work that has been done, but this is like cybersecurity in the early 90s. We are just getting started.
Yeah.
So if this intrigues you at all, please come down to the Cognitive Institute, Cognitive Security Institute, cognitiveSecurity.institute. And there are free memberships. It's a volunteer nonprofit. Get involved. Bring your expertise. Bring your questions, and help us grow the community.
Cool. We'll share that in the comments as well. That's cool. I'll check that site out for sure. CognitiveSecurity.institute.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Spend a little time there. I'll see what that's all about. So that looks cool. All right. Well, Win, it's been a pleasure having you on this Friday afternoon.
Thanks for joining us.
No, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Anytime at all you want to go down any of these rabbit holes in greater detail, you let me know.
All right, we're gonna get you back for a political episode.
No. No.
We'll wait for election season coming up.
No. I stay up here at the purely theoretical level. I do not.
That's no fun.
It is a lot of fun because the other shit stresses the hell out of me.
All right, we'll keep you off the political commentator list.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's been good having you on.
Yep.
Sit tight for just a second. We're going to wrap up, and then we'll catch up with you real quick.
Thanks, Wayne.
All right.
Interesting conversation.
Yeah, I suspect there is a ton of knowledge and wisdom in that brain that we did not even scrape the surface of.
We just touched like 3% probably.
Yeah, so definitely get the book.
We didn't prompt the right questions. Probably we could have gotten a whole lot more, but maybe another episode.
Yeah, so we wanted to leave some mystery for the book too, right?
Exactly.
So the Art and Science of Metawar. Go check that book out. It's on Amazon.
Highly rated.
That's I think I'll go ahead and grab that because it looks like something you need to know these days. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the reviews on there. This is like most valuable book I've ever read. That's one of the that's one of the reviews. So
it's every author's dream right there.
Yeah. I think that's Wynn's brother, but we'll ask him later off the show. But no, it's interesting discussion. Super cool topic. Again, the name of the book, The Art and Science of Metawar. How to Coexist with AI-Driven Reality, Distortion, Disinformation, and Addiction in the Metaverse. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this as time goes. It's going to be a lot of fun as this all plays out. I mean, I feel like I said, Sean, I feel like we're like bipolar in our podcast sometimes.
We're just fair and balanced, man. We're just trying to get both sides of the story.
That's right. We don't know. We don't know what the end result will be, but it's a fun ride. I think we should just enjoy the ride along the way. So
100%.
So with that said, check us out, persuasionbythepint.com. You can check us out here at episode 404, and you can find us on all of your favorite platforms, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, you name it. And guys, we'll see you next week. It's been fun.
See ya.